Times hard, lost some folks to COVID, dog, now I'm scarred. All the senseless violence got your boy on guard. Tell your folk you love them, dog, life too short. And I ain't got no space for bullshit. Times hard, lost some folks to COVID, dog, now I'm scarred. All the senseless violence got your boy on guard. Tell your folk you love them, dog, life too short. And I ain't got no space for bullshit. I can see more of us killing us. Be too quick to bust with no nuts. Then you run and duck in the cut, telling us you rough and you tough. But don't bring that heat over here. Don't you see this weed in this girl? We don't need police interfere. Have them looking at me like some dirt. I wonder if I should vaccinate. Understand it's a great black debate. One time they did give us syphilis, polio, even AIDS. It's still unrest for the black men in the USA. And I know you flash and you play until it's you they spray. I used to try to be Christian, but they too strange to us. Even tried to be Muslim, but they too dangerous. Both of them enslaved us. Wonder why we lack trust. We too tough and we ain't got no space for bullshit. Times hard, lost some folks to COVID, dog, now I'm scarred. All the senseless violence got your boy on guard. Tell your folk you love them, dog, life too short. And I ain't got no space for bullshit. Times hard, lost some folks to COVID, dog, now I'm scarred. All the senseless violence got your boy on guard. I ain't got no space for bullshit.
Times hard and I know it, but nobody don't notice. Lost my granny to some bullshit, ain't never got close. Hurt my heart, but I can't show it for my mama stay focused.
Hey, what's good? It's the boy Walt Mac, one half of the 2MCOGs, 1/4 of the forecast. You know what I'm talking about? Alright, y'all, I'm gonna get straight into it, man, with this video because this is real fucked up and we really need to help these guys out. So I want y'all to hear this. This was right after the GOP's Tennessee 5 tried to get rid of the Tennessee 3, which they only got rid of 2, and it led to discrimination charges almost. But they got reinstated because they didn't get rid of the third one. And this is the conversation that they having, saying that, hey, we were supposed to stick together. We already had this planned out. What happened? And all this. But I want to let y'all hear it for yourself, all right? Here we go.
Please forgive me if my comments are not going to talk as Christ. I think now, more than ever,
This kind of long. I don't know the start right here.
A one-way conversation. No legislation in the history of the world has ever been passed under protest. It's always a two-way conversation. And that's been lost. And they reduced each and every one of us, including each and every one of our constituents, to sometimes a simple protest. And so that to me was paramount of what all three of them did by virtue of that simple walk from Gloria's desk to the middle of the well without that permission, really regardless of what the resolutions did say. I think we do understand how important we all are when a hot vote is like it was and then you change. Surprise is it's a difficult thing to deal with. There's gonna have to be, I think, some time before there's probably some trust reestablished. If I would have known that I had to convince you all, I think Gino, I think Farmer, I think others that we thought about that process would have been handled a whole lot differently. That's where the element of surprise has got to be removed. Because that to us surprised me. That all of a sudden we had to convince the members after we had asked them so much of where they were on this.
I've taken positions up here against leadership. If you believe Gloria's resolution was wrong, you have the right to file an amendment and go talk to leadership. I think the problem I'm having is if we don't stick together, if you don't believe we're at war for our republic, with all love and respect to you, you need a different job. The left wants Tennessee so bad because if they get us, the Southeast falls. and it's game over for the Republic. This is not a neighborhood social gathering. We are fighting for the republic of our country right now. And the world is staring at us. Are we going to stand our ground? I've gotten multiple phone calls from other representatives going, we sure hope you guys stand up, because maybe you'll give us the courage to stand up and push back against what's going to destroy our republic. You should have.
All right, y'all. Y'all heard it for y'allself. They trying to say they republic. What are they trying to say they republic from? The truth? They don't want us to regulate guns. They make it seem like everybody's saying, hey, let's completely get rid of guns. But that's not what's being said. We trying to regulate guns that kill multiple people easily in a short period of time. So we won't have so many mass shootings and people dying from guns. But they won't admit that. They just completely say, oh, they want to take away all the guns. That's not what it's about. See, they use those kind of lies and deceptions to manipulate your minds. That's not right. I'm gonna show you what else they blocking. Because like I say, they want you to stay dumb. And they don't want us to be educated about what they did in the past, so we won't know what they're doing right now. But you got people like me and my crew and some others that's not gonna have that. We're not going for it. All right, here we go.
Representative Jones.
Now, this is Justin Jones and Justin Pearson. They tag this stymie looking old man right here that was trying to introduce a bill to take away the ethnic classes in college. He don't want anybody to learn about or discuss the past, America's past, which includes the mistreatment of indigenous dark-skinned people who were never reparated for that. He want to take all that history away so nobody can know and nobody can do anything about it. Yet and still he say they're fighting for the freedom of America. But like I say, y'all just heard him. They fighting for their republic, whatever that's supposed to mean. All right, let's go and get into this one a little bit longer.
Speaker, he didn't. That's not an answer. Let's try again.
The reason I'll vote against this legislation is actually because I do believe this.
Now I'm gonna say to me, these guys are a representation of Malcolm X, Justin Jones, and Martin Luther King. That's Justin Pearson, who you're looking at right now. All right, let's keep going.
This state, this country is redeemable, but it is not going to be redeemed or resurrected if we allow the status quo to persist.
The purpose of this bill is to strengthen the prohibition on the divisive concepts that are part of TCA 49-719 and promote freedom of expression and educational excellence. The impact is to keep colleges about advancing knowledge and not advancing personal, political, or social agendas.
Do you believe that college students are mature enough to handle conversations about systemic racism and the history of oppression in America that you're trying to prohibit under this bill?
Chairman Reagan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have addressed your question already, sir.
Representative Jones.
So we're playing not answer, okay. Representative Reagan, what type, you call this the freedom of expression bill, but it's prohibiting concepts from being discussed freely on college campuses, and it's instituting a rogue reporting process where students can report professors for teaching this list of 16, 17 issues. Can you explain the impetus for this bill? What is the origin? What motivated you to write this bill? It seems like it's based off of white fragility, fears of teaching the truth of history. What was your reason for writing this bill?
Chairman Reagan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill was brought to me by a dean of college education who I worked with in addition to another university also contributed to this bill. That was my motivation, sir.
Representative Jones.
So he was motivated just by them bringing him the bill. Not that he read the bill and figured it was a good idea or none of that stuff. He just took the bill and said, okay, let's put it through. But like I say, he's saying that he's for education, but they're taking away education. That don't make sense. That's what they always do.
Jones.
Can you name that person? Who asked you to bring this legislation?
Chairman Reagan.
I would prefer not to, sir. That's between me and the person who brought it to me. If you wish to discuss that in private, I'll be glad to do it.
Representative Jones.
Thank you. Representative Reagan, you grew up at a time where America was segregated. Under this bill, we can't teach that history. So I'm just trying to figure out how will we be honest about our history if you're prohibiting any concepts about America's racist history. It says here we can't talk about any type of unequal system that ascribe character traits, values, moral, ethical codes, privileges onto a certain race. You say that we can't talk about the history of struggle in America. Can you explain how we would talk about these issues and why you're so fearful about even college students discussing them?
Chairman Reagan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your assertion is incorrect, sir. It does not prohibit discussing these.
Representative Jones.
Now, he read it in the bill itself. We all heard it. Like I say, that's what they do. We heard it with our own two ears. We see it with our own two eyes. And they look us straight in our face and say, that's not what happened. That's not what we said. Y'all got us fucked up.
Representative Reagan, this is under prohibited concepts. These are things that, according to this bill, under present law, the following concepts are defined as divisive concepts. And under this law, there's a reporting process where students can report professors for teaching these concepts. This sounds like fascism. This sounds like authoritarianism. This does not sound like democracy or freedom. And so again, this bill is very troubling to anybody who believes in constitutional rights and who believes in America's promise of freedom of expression. You are targeting professors and college students from talking about race and from talking about the history of America. I think it is shameful what you're trying to do. And I'm trying to get an answer as to see what is the origin of this bill, but you're being evasive because I think that you don't even know what the purpose of this bill is, besides to feed into this racist narrative that you've been promoting all session. And so my question to you,
Representative Jones, that's a personal attack and you're out of order. Please.
That was not a personal attack. Y'all can rewind it. Matter of fact, I'm finna go back. Let's listen to it again. That was not a personal attack.
About the history of America, I think it is shameful what you're trying to do. And I'm trying to get an answer as to see what is the origin of this bill, but you're being evasive because I think that you don't even know what the purpose of this bill is, besides to feed into this racist narrative that you've been promoting all session. And so my question to you,
Representative Jones, that's a personal attack and you're out of order. Please refrain from making those claims when you're on the bill. Thank you.
Please have him answer the question, because he still ain't answered the damn question. Thank you.
You continue, Representative Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is not a personal attack. It's a matter of fact. I've sat in committees.
Representative Jones, you made a direct comment to the representative accusing him of something that is a direct attack. I would ask you to refrain from doing that and stick to the bill, please.
That's not an accusation. That's a fact.
Representative Jones.
Thank you. Representative Reagan, do you believe that it is racist to prohibit concepts on systemic racism in the history of America?
Chairman Reagan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Once again, my belief is in God. I settle other things with facts and data.
Now he gonna try to avoid the question and throw God in there. Ain't that a bitch?
The fact of the matter is, sir, this bill is not racist. It is not unconstitutional.
Representative Jones.
We keep bringing up God, but God says in Isaiah 10, woe to those who pass unjust laws that hurt the poor and rob them of their rights. And so stop using God to justify your bigotry. Stop using God to justify hatred and racism. Stop using God to put
President Jones, you are out of order. You're out of order. That's the third time you've accused a member of doing something or being something on the House floor.
This is a deeply concerning bill because it is continuing a pattern of practice that is harmful to all people. When you begin to attack education and educational institutions that seek to tell the truth about racism, sexism, these other quote-unquote divisive concepts, when you try to control what a person thinks, then you are assuming the role of God rather than allowing the freedom of thought that built American educational institutions. I'll read some of this bill because I've got some folks here from Memphis and folks who are watching who need to see what the Tennessee General Assembly is calling divisive in our time. An individual, by virtue of the individual's race or sex, bears responsibility for actions committed in the past by other members of the same race or sex. This is to prevent white folks in particular for being told they had anything to do with enslavement. This is an individual should feel discomfort, guilt, anguish, or another form of psychological distress solely because of the individual's race or sex. A meritocracy which does not exist because a society that committed genocide against Native Americans, enslaved black African American people for over 250 years cannot be a meritocracy because we didn't all start at the same place. But you will not be able to say a meritocracy is inherently racist or sexist or designed by a particular race or sex to oppress another sex, despite the fact that in the United States of America's Constitution that we all swear an oath on, black people were considered 3/5 of a person. Only rich white men could vote, not women. But you tell us that those things we wouldn't be able to talk about if we operate business as usual and not do the work of justice. America is redeemable. The state of Tennessee is redeemable, but if we do not do the work of repenting through true education, by telling the truth, or as Memphian Ida B. Wells says, shining the light of truth upon our institutions and upon our lived experiences, which has made it much more likely for you to stand there than for me, if we do not tell the truth about our past and our present injustices. The state of Tennessee, the United States of America will not be redeemed. This is the work that we should be committing to, not banning people's ability to think critically about how we got to where we are because we're trying to preserve a status quo that has hurt us. But I've got good news. No matter what you do, people always rise.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about, That's what I'm talking about. Say. With that being said, I just want to bring this to my people so everybody can see it. Everybody can know what's going on. Can't nobody say, oh, man, I didn't know. We need to stand behind these two guys. I mean, to make sure they don't try to kill them off, first of all. But the movement that they have going